Come and ride along with Hawkeye and Jeannie, as they continue their journey on the road in a ProMaster, visiting cities, communities, towns, and other places of interest to determine what is really going on in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Who is in business and who is not? What is the new normal way to live? Then report back to you with these videos. That is what Hawkeye's Tales and Trails is all about. I am Delmer, the narrator. Episode 43 is about their stay in Great Falls, Montana and a visit to the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center with cousin Larry James. Larry James is Hawkeye's last living relative that he has known since birth.
Why do they call this Great Falls?
Because there's 5 dams that they had to cross. It's all right here, surrounding Great Falls.
The Lewis and Clark crossed over those dams?
All of them.
Okay.
All 5 of them. Springs State Park.
Now my turn to watch her.
Worked on the facility, the building. Yeah.
Hi.
How you doing?
That's been a long time ago.
I heard your name's Bob.
Yes, fantastic, Bob.
It's our resident, huh?
I'm Bob. I'm also Bob, but everyone calls me Hawkeye.
Oh, okay.
You don't fist bump? There you go. Is it okay if I record you? And
You can take any pictures you want while you're going through.
well, what about you, Bob?
It's up to you, Bob.
You might be a ladies' man. You never know.
Bob?
You know what's here then, basically. Or
No, this is my
No,
this is
it's
my
their
first
trip
time.
here.
Oh.
I helped build this place.
Okay.
This and the amphitheater and the fish hatcheries up there and stuff. The company I worked for, we built all
I bet
that.
you do YouTube.
This is Jeannie.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeannie, come on in.
This is our guide, Bob.
Well, you'll take the expedition of Lewis and Clark from St. Louis, Missouri to the Pacific Ocean and back again.
Yeah, uphill this way, downhill that way, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was uphill a lot.
Yeah, for 2 years it was uphill.
Yeah, well, nobody told them about the mountains.
Who put those there, right?
Right behind you is the bust of Thomas Jefferson. He commissioned the expedition. He's giving Captain Lewis some instructions on what he wants done, what he wants to find out about the new land purchase, Louisiana purchase.
There's different species available everywhere, right?
You know, we're in diorama, that's the replica of the canoes that they used to travel upstream.
Yeah.
And
Now they had to take these out
they
of
had
the
to
water,
take these out of the water.
and then they built wheels for them, or?
They built everything that they had to do.
Wow.
They hewed the canoes out of big cottonwood trees. If you know anything about trees, when you get cottonwood wet, it gets a lot heavier.
Yeah.
I know all about cottonwood.
It's
Well,
extremely
when
heavy.
they came out of Missouri, which is, I don't know how many miles down, but anyway, it's an 18-mile overland trip that they made when they took them out
To go around the falls.
to go around the 5
Okay.
falls that are
18
here.
miles, I didn't know that. Look at the size of that. Jamie, look at the size of that thing.
Oh, it's mine?
My gosh.
That's a map of our exhibits that are at the lower level, and there's a stairway and an elevator that you can use to get down there. What else? Well, if you helped build this place, that's our compass rose, and all the names that you see are people and companies that
That we're
Donated. to
donated
get
about
this?
$1.5 million to help
It
build
was
this
a
place.
wonderful project.
Yeah.
The amphitheater, those are hollow. I made those. Those are hollow out of the gelatin mold, so we could put the stickers there. Neck it up, and if you look at, just at the amphitheater only, the light standards.
Oh my God.
We don't,
Amazing.
we don't run by hand in the
That's so
paint.
Wow.
Yeah. We had a guy named Jordan Weary, was the architect.
Yeah, something about like.
So take your time. There's a lot to see down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing to watch for when you get down there, look at the carpet. If you're walking on blue carpet, that means you're on the river.
Oh,
If you're on brown carpet, that means you're on land.
on the banks.
Yep.
I didn't remember that either. I'm glad I'm here.
A fast track through the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center. Hopefully you are watching this presentation on a large screen, and you can pause the video to better examine the exhibits that are of interest to you. If you are watching on a smartphone, you can pause and enlarge the image for better viewing. The Lewis and Clark expedition from August 31, 1803, to September 25, 1806, also known as the Corps of Discovery Expedition, was the United States expedition to cross the newly acquired western portion of the country after the Louisiana Purchase. The Corps of Discovery was a select group of U.S. Army and civilian volunteers under the command of Captain Meriwether Lewis and his close friend 2nd Lieutenant William Clark. The expedition made its way westward and crossed the continental divide of the Americas before reaching the Pacific coast. President Thomas Jefferson commissioned the expedition shortly after the Louisiana Purchase in 1803 to explore and to map the newly acquired territory, to find a practical route across the western half of the continent, and to establish an American presence in this territory before European powers attempted to establish claims in the region. The campaign's secondary objectives were scientific and economic, to study the area's plants, animal life, and geography, and to establish trade with local Native American tribes. The expedition returned to St. Louis to report its findings to Jefferson, with maps, sketches, and journals in hand. One of Thomas Jefferson's goals was to find the most direct and practicable water communication across this continent, for the purposes of commerce. He also placed special importance on declaring U.S. sovereignty over the land occupied by the many different Native American tribes along the Missouri River, and getting an accurate sense of the resources in the recently completed Louisiana Purchase. The expedition made notable contributions to science, but scientific research was not the main goal of the mission. During the 19th century, references to Lewis and Clark scarcely appeared in history books, even during the United States Centennial in 1876, and the expedition was largely forgotten. Lewis and Clark began to gain attention around the start of the 20th century. Both the 1904 Louisiana Purchase Exposition in St. Louis and the 1905 Lewis and Clark Centennial Exposition in Portland, Oregon showcased them as American pioneers. On November 4, 1804, Clark recorded in his journal, "Sacagawea was a Lemhi Shoshone woman who, at age 16, helped the Lewis and Clark expedition in achieving their chartered mission objectives by exploring the Louisiana Territory. Sacagawea traveled with the expedition thousands of miles from North Dakota to the Pacific Ocean, helping to establish cultural contacts with Native American populations and contributing to the expedition's knowledge of natural history in different regions. In 1800, when she was about 12 years old, Sacagawea and several other girls were taken captive by a group of Hidatsa in a raid that resulted in the deaths of several Shoshone, 4 men, 4 women, and several boys. She was held captive at a Hidatsa village near present-day Washburn, North Dakota. At about age 13, she was sold into a non-consensual marriage to Toussaint Charbonneau, a Quebecois trapper who about 2 decades earlier had lived in the Hidatsa village. He had also bought another young Shoshone, known as Otter Woman, for a wife. Charbonneau was variously reported to have purchased both girls from the Hidatsa, or to have won Sacagawea while gambling. The Corps of Discovery arrived near the Hidatsa villages. They settled near a Mandan village, where Captains Meriwether Lewis and William Clark built Fort Mandan for wintering over in 1804 to 1805. They interviewed several trappers who might be able to interpret or guide the expedition up the Missouri River in the springtime. Knowing they would need the help of Shoshone tribes who lived at the headwaters of the Missouri, they agreed to hire Toussaint Charbonneau after learning that his wife, Sacagawea, spoke Shoshone. She was pregnant with her first child at the time. The National American Woman Suffrage Association of the early 20th century adopted her as a symbol of women's worth and independence, erecting several statues and plaques in her memory, and doing much to recount her accomplishments. However, the story remained relatively shallow until mid-century as a celebration of U.S. conquest and personal adventures, but more recently the expedition has been more thoroughly researched. Great Falls is named for a series of 5 waterfalls located on the Missouri River north and east of the city. The Lewis and Clark expedition of 1805 to 1806 was forced to portage around a 10-mile stretch of the river in order to bypass the falls. The company spent 31 days in the area, performing arduous labor to make the portage. 3 of the waterfalls, known as Black Eagle, Rainbow, and the Great Falls, or the Big Falls, are among the sites of 5 hydroelectric dams in the area, giving the city its moniker, the Electric City. Other nicknames for Great Falls include the River City and Western Art Capital of the World. Great Falls is the 3rd largest city in the U.S. state of Montana and the county seat of Cascade County. The population was 58,505 according to the 2010 census. The city covers an area of 22.9 square miles and is the principal city of the Great Falls, Montana, Metropolitan Statistical Area, which encompasses all of Cascade County. The county's population stood at 81,327 in the 2010 census. Thank you very much for watching our videos. We hope that they are somewhat interesting. Our goal is to show people, places, and events that you may not normally get to see and hear. Please share this video with others. Our videos are amateur, unscripted documentaries of Hawkeye and Jeannie's travels. Click on this icon to subscribe and be notified when future episodes are available at the end of this video. It is our recommendation that if you are new to Hawkeye's Tales and Trails, start with episode 1. I am Delmer, the narrator. Have a great Falls Day.
You're gonna have to work with me.
You just press that button right there.
You got it, guys. Yes,
There we go.
yes.
That look good. Can you see the buffalo?
Is it okay if I photograph you guys?
Each step, one back, one step back.
One step.
There we go, now we got the buffalo.
Yeah, you gotta get the buffalo right in
You
there.
ready, guys?
Yes.